You keep polishing yourself as if you were a mirror with a scratch. Buff again, until the mirror looks new. You want to be kinder, smarter, stronger, more patient, less anxious. You want to glow in ways you think will make life smoother, relationships easier, more worthy. Here's the felt promise: become better and the world will finally fit. Notice how that promise hums beneath ordinary mornings. The quiet irritation at your own reaction, the vow to do better next time, the app of habit that pings with yet another plan. It is tender and urgent, and it is not exactly wrong, but it is not exactly right either. The common illusion behind this urge is simple: improvement equals arrival. You believe that the next version of you will finally belong, be lovable, be peaceful. You equate becoming with solving. You carry a map of roads that all lead to a single point labeled fixed you. You are not alone in this. The life you've lived, the stories you learned at home, in school, from friends, taught you that self-change is the engine of safety. You learned to correct, to optimize, to edit away what hurts or embarrasses you. That impulse has saved you too many times to dismiss. It is a faithful servant. The danger is not the wanting. The danger is how you carry the wanting. Here is the thesis: the trouble is not that you try to become better, it is that you make becoming the work of being. Movement, seeing, the game. Imagine life as a river. Most advice hands you a shovel and says, dig upstream, change the source. You scoot along, banking effort into rerouting currents, tightening banks, trying to drag clearer water into view. You learn techniques, better breathing, better boundaries, better mornings, and they help. Sometimes they help a great deal. But notice how your hands ache when you're always digging. Now imagine the stage. You play roles: teacher, dutiful child, lover, coach, critic. Each role has posture and lines. You rehearse them until they feel like skin. Becoming better becomes a rehearsal of different roles. You practice gentler phrasing, firmer stances, the correct pause before a rebuttal. The crowd, which is really other people and your memory, applauds when you do well. So you keep performing, polishing not so much because you love the shine, but because you fear the silence. Here's the paradox. The more you polish to be seen, the more you risk polishing away the texture that made you human in the first place. Consider the ocean and the wave. The wave tries to be a better wave by trimming its crest, but the wave is the ocean. The attempt to self-improve as if you were separable from your depths can become an argument against yourself. You begin editing parts that hurt, parts that ache, parts that remember. Quietly, you start to value certain feelings and disvalue others. Somewhere in that sifting, you lose access to the full water. A friend, a composite of people you know, once told you about a small ritual. Each morning she stood at her kitchen sink and promised herself 3 small mercies before coffee. It helped. She became softer toward her mornings, less aim-driven. But then she began timing those mercies, counting them, judging their effectiveness. The ritual, which had opened a window, became again another rung on a ladder. She grew tired. She learned that even tender practices become a performance when attached to better. We are taught to value progress so much that it becomes suspicion whenever we rest. We think the river only flows toward improvement, yet rivers do not always hurry. They eddy, gather, soak the banks with fish and moss. Being is not only a movement toward betterment, it is also a way of holding what already is. Movement 2, the cost of the illusion. You chase improvements like a dog chases its tail, earnest, repetitive, convinced of eventual capture. You chase, you tighten, you tire. When becoming becomes identity, 3 things quietly happen. First, you live in a state of perpetual deficiency, always not enough, always rehearsing the fix. Second, you mistake technique for transformation, polishing the table without opening the door. Third, you lose small spontaneous delights because delight is messy and does not adhere to plans. Here are 5 illusions that keep you stuck. Improvement is linear. You believe growth looks like a clean upward line. In truth, life zigzags, loops, doubles back. Progress is often disguised as a plateau or a stumble. Better means different. You think new habits will make you someone else. Often, they simply rearrange the same furniture. Fixing feelings fixes you. When you edit feeling after feeling, you may mute your signal to the world that calls for intimacy and help. Self-watchfulness is wisdom. Constantly observing yourself can be useful. Obsessively surveilling yourself becomes self-betrayal. Other people need your improved self. You offer change as a gift, but sometimes you offer it as insulation, protection from messy, reciprocal give and take. You have traded curiosity for control. You have made discernment an anxious checklist. You have, without much ceremony, convinced yourself that acceptance must be earned by performance. Notice how these traps feel in the body. A knot behind the sternum, a sharpening at the base of the skull, a quick desertion of appetite. You cannot outrun the cost with more plans. The very attempts to save you sometimes feed what they hoped to heal. Movement 3. The turn. Here's the paradox that loosens the knot. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is noticing what you are trying to hold with clenched hands and then choosing to open them. Not because you are weak, but because opening is a wiser kind of strength. Not because you stop caring, but because you stop carrying the whole load alone. Picture a river in late spring. The mud clears when the water is left to its own way, not because someone fixed it, but because forces align. Sun, settling, the small, busy work of stones. The river doesn't decide to be clearer, it allows itself to settle. The dancer who knows the song will end dances more fully. She no longer performs to avoid loss. She dances because the song is here now. The turn asks you to practice presence over performance. It invites discernment without rescue fantasies. When anger arises, for instance, the turn says, see it, feel it, let its energy speak, then choose. You are not required to dissolve every rough edge, nor to sharpen them away. Presence makes politics with your impulses rather than attempting their exile. This turn is not a place. It is a manner of being in each small decision. It is a softer urgency. It looks like saying, I notice that I am trying to be less anxious, instead of, I must never be anxious again. It looks like offering boundaries because your own heart needs care, not because you must appear invulnerable. Application, lived wisdom. Try this day as an experiment rather than a project. For one day, or even for an hour, approach your routines as a curious observer, not a manager. Watch what tightens when you imagine improvement. Notice what softens when you imagine acceptance. Consider 3 small practices to invite the turn. Pause, feel, allow, act. Pause before reaction. Even 2 breaths will do. Feel the immediate sensation in your body without commentary. Allow the feeling to exist for a moment, as if it were a weather pattern passing. Act from that clearer place if action is needed. See, soft and select. See the pattern you usually enact. Soften your urgency by naming it gently. Here's the plan again. Select one small, kind action that aligns with both your values and your limits. Breathe, anchor, reflect. Take a breath that counts to 6. Anchor yourself to one small sensory object. The weight of your feet, the taste of water, the sound of a neighbor. Reflect briefly on what you gained and what cost you paid for the attempt to be better in that moment. Try them as invitations, not assignments. For example, when criticism arrives, whether from outside or from your inner voice, try pause, feel, allow, act. Pause. Feel the tightening at the throat. Allow the discomfort to have space to exist without solution. If action is wise, take it from this clearer stance. If no action is required, rest. When a desire to become more appears, treat it like a visitor. Greet it. Ask it where it came from. Sometimes it wants to help. Sometimes it wants to hide fear. You can accept its company without letting it take the pilot seat. Another practice, make a gentle audit of your daily tools. Which of your efforts actually leave you more present? Which leave you proud of your discipline but lonelier? Keep what nourishes clarity and discard what feeds anxious achievement. Also, practice micro-relinquishments. These are tiny acts of not doing. One meal eaten without planning how it will refine you. One conversation where you listen more than you perform. One evening when you choose pleasure that isn't productive. Notice how these small permissions loosen the tension to always be becoming. A short, practical framework to try this week. See, soften, select. See, observe the habit or belief that says, I must become. Name it plainly. I see the voice that tells me to be kinder by tomorrow. Soften. Soften your relationship to that voice. It is worried, tired, earnest. Offer it compassion for trying so hard. Select. Choose one small, humane action that honors need and limit both. Perhaps a 10-minute walk or a single honest sentence to someone you love. Repeat this framework whenever the machinery of self-improvement revs up. It will not abolish the urge, but it will change your posture toward it. Do not mistake gentleness for laxity. There is a rigor in choosing presence over performance. You will stumble. Guilt will try to masquerade as motivation. Notice guilt when it arrives and ask it what it thinks it will achieve. Usually guilt is a tone-deaf instrument asking for connection disguised as punishment. A pay attention practice. Each evening before sleep, name 3 things that were true about you today. 1 kindness you offered, 1 moment you were honest, and 1 thing that went wrong without your direct responsibility. Say them aloud if you can. This cultivates a ledger different from the ledger of improvement. It trains you to recognize sufficiency even as you continue to grow. Integration. Belonging without the performance. There is a difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is a deliberate companionship with yourself that does not need constant approval. Loneliness is a wound that seeks repair through visibility. Becoming better often masquerades as a cure for loneliness. If I become better, others will stay. The turn invites you to be in the world without making your belonging conditional on ongoing edits. Boundaries are compassionate acts, not punitive walls. When you say no because you need rest, you are not failing to be better. You are safeguarding the conditions for generosity. Discernment is not coldness. It is a kind of mercy toward your own resources. You are not late, not broken, not irreparably behind. The river does not rush to become clearer. It simply clears when conditions allow. You too will clear as you shift the posture from endless self-correction to attentive presence. Belonging grows when you stop offering perfected versions of yourself as the only currency. Try giving imperfect presence. Watch how people respond. Watch how people respond to a less polished, more honest you. Some will step back, others will step forward. Both are fine. The river does not require all banks to welcome it. Crescendo, return for a moment to the image that began this exploration. The mirror, polished and polished, the hands that buff until they ache. The problem with becoming better is not that you aim to improve. It is that you confuse becoming with being. You treat change as a permanent condition rather than a friend who visits now and then. And yet you may still want to change. You may want to learn new ways to love, to speak, to rest. Let those desires be your companions, not your judges. You may choose practices, take small steps, adopt frameworks. Do so like a gardener tends soil, not like a prisoner building a new cell. You may allow that the work of being human includes both tender practice and radical acceptance. You may pause without shame. You may be rigorous without being ruthless. You may show up imperfectly and discover that belonging was never a prize to be earned, but a natural consequence of showing the particular warmth you hold. Let this be enough for today, a small permission to soften the urgency of your becoming. Let the river do what rivers do. Let the dancer enjoy the song without trying to lengthen it. You are allowed to be a work in progress and also already a presence. Let this be the way you travel, curious, kind, and occasionally still.